Perfect. Coach, whenever you're ready, we'll start.
All right. First off, just how about them heels? Coming out west, feel like we've been here a month. Feel like I'll have to pay taxes here at some point. But we stayed in it, right? You're away from your weight room. You're away from your own bed. You're away from your routine for quite a while. And these guys found a way. We didn't play great, but this was a big moment for us because we showed a lot of collective toughness when things weren't going our way. You know, the free throw disparity was confusing. The crowd gave great energy. The momentum was in their favor. We had some foul out, you know, and they went on that 12-0 run, and we went on our own 7-0 run. I can't say enough about, you know, either of them. I mean, Lexi holding Elena to 1 for 11 from the field and playing and doing it for, God, how many minutes? I guess I never took you out. Sorry about that. All 40 minutes. And then what can you say about Alyssa? She spent so much time working on adding a 3-point shot to our game because it matters for our team. And then that last stop, Nunu versus Alyssa, so two pros going at it for the possession. We thought she'd have to counter. Alyssa took it right in the chest. We came up with the rebound. So 5 in double figures, but a whole lot of collective toughness that we can take from this. I remember one more thing. I remember I came here, I played when I was the coach at Princeton, and we had a halftime lead, and then they just pounded us. And I said to myself, leaving that game, I thought we had a pretty good team. Tara was on the other sideline, and I said, if I can ever bring a team back here, this is a place I want to win. So thanks to you guys for what you did to make sure that could happen.
Yeah, what was the difference between the first 3 quarters and the fourth quarter? It just shifted so much.
Yeah, I thought we missed a couple of layups, you know, which we can sometimes do, and that didn't bury us, thankfully. You know, also, you know, the details of the trip are details, and we've really tried to hammer that home. But the details are also real. I can say now that the details are over. There is some mental and physical fatigue that this trip requires. Again, it's not because you're playing 2 games against very good teams. It's everything else. You know, these kids are like, they're in the weight room in the hotel, and they're taking turns with our strength coach and just totally out of a routine. So I think these guys played a little bit tired, and Stanford's a good team. But they found a way, and you know, Stanford made a few more shots than we did in the fourth quarter. But we made the ones we had to when we had to, thankfully.
Alyssa, I think you last hit 4 3-pointers as a freshman, I believe. You talk about your progression on the perimeter, and then please talk about the last defensive play when you made the stop.
Yeah, to Coach's point, I know that being a 3-point threat is really important for our team because I need to create space for my teammates. It's almost like not fair to be a perimeter player and not be able to shoot threes because then my defender gets to help on everybody else and almost double team the ball. So that's been a really focus for me for a while. And the biggest thing probably has been getting the confidence to be able to step into that role. And Coach keeps telling us to like play aggressive and to not be timid on offense. And so I just felt hot and just continued to keep the courage up to keep shooting. And then the last defensive play, I mean, I knew it before we even got to the timeout with Coach in our huddle that they were going to ISO Nunu, and I was going to be guarding her, and I was 100% up for the challenge. I already guarded her on a couple ISO drives, and I fouled once. She made a clean one over me, so I felt like I had the most experience on her drives in that moment to make an in-game stop. And then we came up with the rebound, which is crucial. And yeah, just credit to our team for sticking out a big trip, and it's really hard to stay mentally locked in. And obviously we had some lapses throughout the game, but I'm really proud of this group and how far we've come, and we have a lot more to go. So we're really excited.
Courtney, you talked about, you know, obviously the details of a trip like this and what went into it. But now that it is done, just how big of a deal is it to be able to say, hey, we went on the road to Cal and to Stanford and came away with 2 wins?
Yeah, 2 wins against 2 good teams. A lot. I mean, it's the first, told them before the game, it's the program like this, you don't get a chance to do something for the first time very often. So much has already been done, right? But no team in the ACC has swept the California road trip. So we had a chance to do something for the first time. And that meant something. But I also just the maturation of a team. These 2, it's so easy to celebrate them because of what they do on the floor, but it's all the stuff that they do in silence and just in our locker room and on our practice floor that they should be, and they are really proud of their team. That showed an enormous amount of toughness to do that on a Sunday afternoon or a Sunday night, whatever it is. So yeah, it's a really big win because of how it happened. It wasn't a 12-point, you know, I kind of felt like it was a 12-point game most of the game until it wasn't. And so I think there's a lot of takeaways. I think there's something more left for this group.
Lexi, can you talk about your offensive game? 12 points without a three-pointer, but you've really expanded your game, mid-range jumpers, driving. Can you talk about the maturation of your offensive game?
Yeah, I feel like it's been something that the coaches and I have been working on for a really long time, every week on a really consistent basis. But it ultimately is about just taking what the defense gives you, and they were really up in me. They did not want me to get a 3 off. So just playing off of that and playing with what the offense was giving us, it was mid-range pull-ups and taking it in. So just, yeah, running what we want to run and getting the shots that we want to get based off with how the defense is guarding us.
And then due to time, we'll open up questions in the
And
room.
RL, real quick to add to that, I think the difference too for Lexi is she's a 5th-year senior. And when your 5th-year senior is adding things to their game, you know, I don't know how many 5th-year seniors on a consistent basis are putting in the time to add to her game. So again, she's earned it. We need her. She knows that for us to be better, she needs to be better off the dribble. And so these two alone have just really helped our team in their improvement.
I like excited for us. Lexi, you've obviously played 2 schools, variety of gyms, but
Mm.
this place has had a lot of women's basketball history in it. Is there
Yeah.
anything extra special about playing a game here, let alone winning a game here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've played a college basketball game in the state of California before. So it was really fun I'm happy that our trip out here was this year for us, so that Alyssa and I were able to do this. It was a lot of fun to experience these atmospheres, see new arenas, and take a trip across the country with the team. We had so much fun over this week.
Alyssa, I mean, 2 years ago, the West Coast trip has been pretty fruitful for you guys between here and going to Tucson. and
Yep.
whatnot. But
And
you
Oregon.
guys- so what to be able to do this? How special is that? Knowing it's a long trip, but to go, how nice is this flight home going to be? Basically,
Yeah, no, it's so incredible. And we talked about it, how we didn't come all the way out here and spend all these days here in a hotel to like drop one at the end of the trip. So we had a lot of motivation, and a big credit like to our team. This team is so fun to be around. And like Lexi said, we really enjoyed our time here, and it's really helpful for those like tough days to get through them and to do them well when you have people that you really enjoy spending time with, because it just makes all the sacrifices that we continue to make this season worth it. And yeah, definitely love the West Coast.
also understand you guys took in a gymnastics meet Friday night.
Yeah.
How was that? I guess,
Yeah.
being able to find Carolina Blue out here on the
Mhm.
weekend like that.
Yeah, I think someone had mentioned it and we're all like, what? No way, they're here. And then we like the team all went to the game, or all went to the meet, and we waved to a bunch of our friends that were down there competing. And one thing that was really cool is the gymnasts were yelling tar, and then all of us basketball girls in the stands were yelling heels. And so people that don't know, that's our chant. But yeah, so that was just a really special Carolina moment, and like nobody can take that away from us. And that's like just something that we carry with pride.
Courtney, I'm wondering, like, is this the Stanford team you expected? They're obviously a little different than they've been in past years, and the way they play today is different than how they played. You held them 3 for 14 from 3. They had 32 points in the game. They haven't all like that this year.
Mhm,
Is this kind of what you expected, or what did you think of this team coming in, and
mhm.
what do you think of them now?
They're big. They're really big at all spots, right? You know, we knew that they're a rhythm team, and they can get those cluster actions that splits and gets and whatever everyone calls those twirls, you know, but we sort of just called it cluster action. And our guys, we're good at making teams not do what they want to do. That's partly why we've been such a good defensive team. And so, you know, credit to Stanford, we made them play differently and they still played well, right? Like you said, they're throwing it inside for 1v1 low post touches. That's not what they want to do. And so, you know, we spend a lot of time with Lexi when we're building out the game plan, just to see where she's, you know, what does she think here and there. And in timeouts, we're asking them, how do you want to handle that? They kept curling that damn flare screen, and we had to switch how we guarded it. And Alyssa explained how she wanted it done. And, you know, so yeah, we made them play a little bit differently than they usually do, but they're a big team. And, you know, they'll cause some problems for people for sure.
We have time for one more question before we have to catch our flight.
Yeah, we'll get you.
I was.
Go ahead, either one of you. We have
You
time.
go, you go. Yeah.
Given the furious fourth quarter rally that Stanford made, but then looking at the 3-point shot percentage, and they're a top 10 3-point shooting team.
Yeah.
They only shot 21.4 to you all 52.9.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how that impacted the game and able to withstand?
Yeah, big time. When we couldn't get to the free throw line, I don't know how or why, and that's for something that's not this conversation. But you know, I haven't been a part of a free throw disparity quite so much, especially when I thought both teams were kind of playing at the rim and pretty physically. And so you got to find another way, right? And so fortunately, you know, they were daring a couple of our guys to make threes, and that's what we practice and we put the work in. So we're going to trust it, right? But yeah, it was obviously huge since we couldn't get to the free throw line for whatever reason.
What has been the impact you feel of these special teams are more
The best.
It's
It's great, especially we're in the middle pod. So I had to play Virginia Tech when they were at their best and they've ever been, twice every year or 3 times. We had to play NC State when they finally went to a Final Four, twice every year. We had to play Duke twice. We still do because that's our biggest rival. And then Virginia. So our pod was the toughest pod year after year after year. So it's not an equitable schedule. Now it's as equitable as possible. You have some home and away challenges, but it's an equitable schedule and you play your rival, which is, but in our case, you know, a highlight for us. And so, you know, this is better. I don't know how the southern schools and the northern schools feel. They probably liked us beating up on each other all the time, but this is better for the north, for the middle of the conference, locationally.
Oh, thank you. I was just curious. I saw noticed Gacting at 12 in the first half.
Yeah,
And was 0 in the second. Was that a function of May Gardner, or what do you think accounted for her?
she fouled out.
First foul was that already?
She basically got, I'm not quite, again, I don't know. We'll have to kind of reassess, but that poor girl, she breathed and there was a foul. So I think she breathed a little bit too much. And so she had to sit on the bench.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.